And so we get the goat scene. Here it comes.
Yes.
Rushing in.
The goat.
We got they're clearing away the pieces of the board. It's entirely been removed now. Viserys' Lego set, which is really sad, but whatever, Aegon. You know, it's the thing that would make you hate Aegon the most, honestly, out of everything he could do. And yes, Otto is displeased, one could say.
Yeah.
I love the what have you done? And then he's like, He goes, the rat catchers. It's like, whoa. His performance in this scene is nothing but fucking wonderful. He does
stellar. This is brain crack. This is acting crack.
He does everything you could want, and he shows some stuff we've never seen before in terms of his perspectives that you could have assumed were a thing, but now know for sure are a thing, because he almost has no reason to express them pragmatically. He is this emotionally frustrated, which we haven't seen very many times at all. Because he's quite a smart boy, but he's at his wit's end with Aegon here, because he's done immense damage to his plans by just simply not listening to him.
Well, I think what you see spill through is that what the choice he made in terms of the public, memorial, that was something that that upset him. Like, that was not, in an ideal world, that's something that he didn't want to do, but then he did it, bore the emotional repercussions for it, and then he undermines it.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue,
like, infuriating.
It's not only a gross thing to do for himself to actually conduct, but to accept, like, this is not something my daughter and my granddaughter are going to endure well. Nobody would. So but I think that does matter to him, even if he's a bit of a cold father,
But we're going to get something from it.
Yes.
And then he undermines it completely. It's like, so all of that suffering was for nothing. You've destroyed it, and he's furious, and it's interesting to see that from Otto. Like, he's got feelings,
Oh, and by the way, as Goga's just highlighted, it's like they've recognized here how important it is that they've killed this set of rat catchers, but they failed to recognize how important it was to kill all those innocent people in episode 9. It's so strange, because this is on point, this scene, as consequence. He says he had them all hanged because the guy could not say for certain which of the rat catchers it was. He's like, idiot! And then he says, beware how you speak to the king. He says, my king is the grandson, and my grandson is a fool. And because he says, you've murdered innocent men. There are fathers, brothers, and sons that you've killed, and their wives and children gather at the gates to weep. It's just so on point.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And this is one of those quotes that it's one of those things that you can take in tandem with a lot of things that Otto have said, where it's easy to view him cynically as he just wants to get power. I think that you have to accept that there is a real strong possibility that he is genuinely concerned with the stability and welfare of the kingdom as a whole.
Yes, I actually think this is a scene where you get less emotion out of someone like a Tywin, because he would be thinking almost solely about the pragmatism of it. But I think Otto is genuinely upset because of the sort of gross nature of this decision.
The senselessness of it all.
A whole bunch of innocent people are dead, and their families suffer, and it's like, why did you do this? Why would you make such a rash decision that would have these consequences? It's because you don't care about the consequences, and that's driving him mad.
It seems it informs Otto's clashes with Daemon back in the day as well, because Otto, everything has to have a point. If something is done, there has to be a reason for it.
And ego isn't acceptable as a reason.
Yeah, ego, and because I felt like it, or just anything that is random or senseless in this way, he just can't abide it. It doesn't fit into his worldview in any way, that this is how people can behave.
Well, and all of Aegon's lines relate to his insecurity about how powerful he is seen as, right? He says that, because he said you've hanged innocent men. He says, yes, but one guilty one. It's like, and then he says,
not wrong.
Plot against the king, and I'll pay it back 100. He's just cut off by Otto saying, "You fucking idiot! Like, what have you done?" Like, he's trying to do his version of compensation for his essentially impotence as king. He doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to feel powerful. But this made him feel powerful. This made him feel like he'd done action that accounted for what had happened. He's feeling good about it, and then the fucking hand of the king is just ripping into it, which is taking away a lot of how he felt about it, which obviously will explain why, at least partly, why he makes the decision that he does at the end of this scene. But once he says the thing about the fathers and sons and the wives and daughters and children and everything weeping, you do get a bit of a sigh from Aegon, like he is considering it somewhat. But I would argue the mistake that's made in this scene by Otto is that he actually lets his emotions get the better of him. Because obviously Otto is super pragmatic, but had he handled this better, he likely would still have a job at the end of this scene.
I think Aegon does not like being antagonized, quite simply.
Firing people is something he is willing to, do.
He does want the kingdom to thrive, which you really respect him for. Like, even if he stoops to, like, using his daughter as a political pawn in sort of a creepy way. Like, he wants appropriate leadership. And also on another level, I'm very happy that Rhysifons found a long-term project that is worthy of his talent.
Yes.
Because I always liked the guy. And he's not in a lot of things, I don't think.
No, you're absolutely right. This is a perfect role for him.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always, for me, he's always just popped up in stuff and done a good job, and that was that sort of thing. I've never had a role specifically to point to and been like, this is the one that everyone needs to see to know how great of an actor he is in a, I guess what you'd call pretty mainstream thing. But what's cool is if he gets a few more scenes like this, I think everyone's going to remember him from now on.
Has anyone seen that Keanu Reeves football movie he was in? Where he's the soccer player or European football player who becomes the kicker of the team.
Don't think I've seen that. But I've seen...
So The Replacements, that's what it's called. It's a good movie.
I think the first thing I saw him in was Kevin and Perry Go Large, which is not a great movie.
Anyone here seen Little Nicky?
Yeah. I know of that movie, haven't seen it.
He's fucking great in that film. It's not a really good film, but like he's the son of the devil, and he plays it up a lot, and he's great as kind of crazy to watch now because he's so much younger, but and he's like Rhysifons is just in general is very punk in the way that he likes to approach a lot of characters, so it was always weird seeing him like this anyway for me, because it's not familiar at all, but he fucking nailed it. Absolutely captures the character he's clearly meant to be playing. But anyway, he says, with your children's blood, we bought their approval. With your mother's tears, we made a bitter deal against I think he says, the deprivations to come, and you've thrown all of it away. After all I've done for you, thoughtless, feckless, self-indulgent. Like, he's actually, when he's saying these insults, you can tell he's running out of everything. He's just so done. Because what else is there to say in terms of just how much this is a fuck up? There's not much. There's no way of recovering it either.
Yeah, these are lives. You can't just unkill them.
And he said,
no token gesture will change what happened.
He said, news of Rhaenyra's monstrous crime spreads through the realm. The great houses falter. They cannot but come to our side. It's like he's saying, it was so perfect. I put everything in place.
We had a good thing, you son of a bitch.
We had dead Jaehaerys, and you ruined everything.
You've done your job and known your place.
And yes, there's this moment that everybody was fucking memeing on, which is, he says, we have to act. I wish to spill blood, not ink. Kristen Cole has acted. And he has this, like, pause, and fucking turns his face. He's like, and what has Kristen Cole done?
Yeah.
Kristen's like, fuck.
Yeah, you can tell Cole is very awkward in this scene in terms of, like, because he recognizes how intimidating the hand can be.
He's out of his element. Cole is like, I'm not. This ain't my deal. All right.
Yeah.
Your talkies is no. This ain't. Yeah.
And of course, Aegon thinks the pretending to be your twin plan is brilliant. I really love his delivery of it. He's pretending to be his own twin. Brilliant. It's like, and fucking Otto is just like, dear God, what stupid fucking plan is that?
He immediately jumps to his instinct reaction when he hears a plan. It's just like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it.
Oh,
And he kind of executes one in the 4th episode, but it was his own, and it was bad.
Yeah, he says, God help us all. And you get another classic Cole line. He says, it's time for the bitch queen to pay a price. Just, he always comes out with those every once in a while. He's very mad about Rhaenyra.
You got her, Cole. You got her. You know.
Yeah, even Aegon is like,
dude.
you what, mate? What was that? Like, clearly very bad. Yeah, and he says that you acceded to this prank without consulting me or the council. Instead of judgment, you display impetuousness and diminish us. That's the way he delivers that. It's so fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calls it a prank. Which is,
A prank.
like, this isn't a real plan. Just like this is a prank that you're pulling.
The political assassination of the enemy queen.
I love throughout this chunk of episodes that we see basically every non-Targaryen character constantly coming to terms with just who they're on the side of, like who they're working with.
Fucking insane Targaryens. Yeah, and so he does that, then the ill-considered, trifling, that has this pause, and you get some of the realest Otto we have ever gotten, where he just says, do you never think of your father, his forbearance, his judiciousness, his dignity? He like
it's the part of it's the part that elevated this scene so much for me, because getting Otto to really to get Otto's perspective on Viserys in this very in a way we haven't really ever seen before, was it just solidified how not just how good Viserys was and how respected it was, but insight into Otto in his goals and what he thought of this guy he served for so long, especially now that he's lost and he's gone. Viserys is dead now, so you have to deal with a world without him.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he's gone, it puts into perspective just how good of a job he really did keeping everything together.
Yeah, and I think there's an element here of he's actually coming to realize Aegon never really cared about his dad, as much as he may recognize, or may not, how good of a father Viserys was. He says, like, do you never think of him? It's like, the answer is no, Aegon really doesn't. And it's such a sad realization, because if he copied anything from Viserys, it would likely help in this scenario, but the reality is there's nothing. None of it has passed over. And the fact that
I mean, probably for most of his life, Aegon thinks of him as just the old sick man.
Yep.
In many ways, with the performance, it feels like Otto himself coming to realize just how much he appreciated what Viserys was, even for all of his faults.
I like how his anger subsides and it's all of a sudden like he's punched in the stomach when he just realizes, like, God, what a waste.
Yeah.
What a terrible waste this is.
Let's be honest, the world would be better if Viserys had not gotten fantasy leprosy, whatever that was. Everybody would be better off, even though everyone had nothing but criticisms for him. You start to sort of realize, like, oh fuck, if only he was still here. Yeah, and the fact he says this line, and it's very, like, you could argue it's probably the most vulnerable Otto's ever let himself be. He sounds destroyed, and he's talking about how much he actually appreciates him. And fucking the last line is saying his dignity, and then Aegon says back, "Fuck dignity, I want revenge." It's like
not what you want to hear from.
That's where we are, right?
And he says, "My father is dead." And Otto says, he is, and we're the poorer for it. Which is like, what are you trying to say there? And he turns around, and he has the fucking ultimate look of just pure disgust, which has to be brought on not just by the bad decision-making, but yeah, all of the dead, innocent people. It has to be. And I think a sort of realization from Otto that there's no real need to keep hiding how he feels, which, again, I still think is a mistake, which is in line with what I think is one of his... I don't know if I want to call it a character flaw. It's complicated, because it's certainly not a moral one. Like, he often oversteps where he probably shouldn't. He does it in season 1 a couple of times, and he's definitely doing it here, which is totally in line. He's fucking annoyed. But look at this face he makes. He's just like, good God, I hate you right now.
Yeah. What could that face mean?
And he's about correct, too, because he says, he was right about you. And then Aegon's like, he made me king. And then Otto laughs and says, is that what you think? And that line is super important, because that means that Otto never believed Alicent at all. He was just like, whatever, we'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's almost more meaningful than that because it means that Otto would have assumed that not only from what he knew about Viserys, but what he knows about Aegon. It's like, why the fuck would Viserys want you to be king? Like, I'll never believe that, and you shouldn't either. And he's laughing at the notion. It's just like, oh fuck, that's so satisfying.
But that is a seed from which that sows the seeds of Aegon's destruction, I would say.
I think
Starting
so,
to realize that he was not, like, he's been placed here by other people.
Yep.
And gradually realizing that he's incredibly incompetent. They all think he's incompetent and prefer it if he just shut up.
Yeah, he is finding out that he is, in a way, he is a pawn.
Yes, even though he sits on even though he's the king, it's like,
yeah, he's in the big chair, but no one respects him. Like he's
if
treated
it was
this
like
way.
this, this choice, right? Of like, Kristen Cole, you can be my hand. It's like what a bad decision.
Well, it's motivated purely by spite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and there's something else, right? So when Otto says you wouldn't dare, when he says take it off, he says I have dared, and I find it quite stimulating. And I think the point that's being made there is like, I'm having way more fun, doing silly schemes with Kristen Cole that involves actual deaths of people, which makes me feel like progress is being made, than I've ever had with you writing letters, procession funerals. Fuck that shit, it's boring. And he's like, yeah, give it to Cole, more fun. It's just, it's such a bad fucking move in so many different ways. And yeah, as you just highlighted, like, it's so much fun to watch Cole sort of doing his normal actions, right? Because part of why he did the fucking twin job is his own huge amount of guilt that has nothing to do with Aegon and his crazy plans, or even a pragmatic approach to nailing this war. More about trying to make up for all of his failures. And so to have him be like, you're hand of the king now, by the way, it's just like, you fucking what?
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 Sorry? This is not the promotion that I was looking for.
I think when he says give it to Cole, you have Cole deliver the most meek Your Grace? Ever? Like, why would you do that? Why would anyone do that?
Why would you do this to me?
Yeah, and he says, in this hour you've proven yourself of more worth than 100 old men. My new hand will be a steel fist, which I quite enjoy as a line because it sums up Aegon pretty well.
It's in the book too.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a bad move, but it is such a satisfying slap in the face for him to do this to Otto. Like, he's just, because he is very impulsive, Aegon. He's just loving this moment. Just, how dare you insult me like that?
He's like, haha, I fire you, haha.
Yeah, and he is later described by Alicent as Aegon banished Otto. Because he says you're dismissed here. I don't know if that means the same thing or if he did it later, but you could tell Otto feels pretty fucking ruined by this. Because as much as he was completely right and just absolutely banging in this scene, it has cost him. Like, whether or not he thinks that was ultimately the best move or not is to be figured out. But yeah, we'll talk a bit more about Otto soon. But what a banger scene. Just excellent shit. This is
I guess
what I'm here for.
Otto likely left because if he didn't have a position at court anymore, he probably should be at the Hightower.
Well, so there's plenty of pragmatic reasons for it. I guess I'm saying that I wonder if he regrets this whole scene because of the power and influence he had is now lost, at least somewhat, right, of what he had before.
Probably.
As for whether or not he'd stay after it, no, I agree. I don't think he would. I don't think he wants to stay just for the fact that it's fucking humiliating to stay.
Yeah. What is he going to do there?
You're right. He has more use in Old Town, or as Alicent suggests, I think he might go visit the High Garden.
I think he's gonna tutor someone, isn't he? He's gonna specifically go and be the tutor of a character.
He said he'd like to go and see Daeron, who is a book character that has not been given much yet in the show at all, other than I think 2 mentions, maybe 3. He said he'll be more willing to listen to him, and that his dragon is close to fighting age, is something someone said at some point. So I think either a end of season 2 character introduction, or probably season 3. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, Otto wants to go and get influence from that fella, / go to, I think, like I said, go to see the Tyrells in High Garden was something Allison mentioned.
Hello, you just listened to a segment of the podcast Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mauler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to the EFAP channel and catch new episodes on Saturdays, as well as catch their smaller videos reacting to the latest and not-so-greatest movies and TV shows throughout the week. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for the latest shorts, clips, and supercuts, also uploaded throughout the week. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to their communities on Reddit and Discord. Thanks for watching.